You ever had one of those mornings where you step outside, mug of coffee in hand, expecting nothing but birds and maybe a breeze, and instead you find a neighborhood tyrant in stilettos screeching on your dock, waving legal threats like she's fencing at the Olympics? Yeah, that was my Tuesday. Let me tell you, nothing wakes you up faster than your HOA president trespassing on your property at 7 a.m., heels stabbing your cedar planks, threatening to fine you $200 a day for ruining the community lake. And the real kicker? That lake she kept shouting about. Every drop of it belonged to me. All 47 acres. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm Marcus Sterling, 52, retired from 25 years in Army logistics. I thought I'd left the chaos behind when I inherited this scrappy little cabin up in the Colorado mountains from my Uncle Theodore, the family weirdo who lived alone, hid money in coffee cans, and somehow managed to buy a piece of paradise. The place wasn't much. 2 bedrooms, a bathroom that still smelled like the 70s, and a kitchen where the microwave might have qualified as a historic artifact. But that lake? In the mornings, mist curling off the glassy water, loons calling, coffee warming my hands peace like I'd never had in 2 decades of Army nonsense. That peace didn't last. Karen Whitmore showed up about 6 months after me. You know the type. Everything white, from the BMW to the unnaturally perfect teeth. Moves in, wins the HOA president gig in 2 weeks because, shocker, nobody else wants it. She's got the voice of someone who's used to getting her way. Smooth as syrup and twice as sticky. First time we met, I was on my dock, tuning up the Chris Craft I'd spent 3 years rebuilding. She comes clip-clopping down, looks my boat up and down, and tells me, "We have certain standards around here. That's HOA speak for, you don't fit my vision, and I'm about to make you regret it." From that moment, my boat became her obsession. Too big, too loud, doesn't fit the aesthetic, she'd say. Never mind the other docks had boats, just as large. Never mind mine was the only one that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover. The real problem? I was new, I was different, and I didn't bend the knee to her vision of neighborhood perfection. So, when that first violation notice showed up, crisp paper, official letterhead, more legalese than the IRS, I didn't get mad. I got curious. You learn that in the Army, don't shout, don't swing, just gather intel. I started reading, digging. Who was this woman, and what did she actually have the power to do? More importantly, what exactly had my uncle left me? Karen didn't wait for an answer. 3 days after that letter, she called an emergency HOA meeting scheduled for the middle of a Wednesday, naturally, so anyone with a job couldn't attend. I showed up anyway, green Army notebook in hand, thermos full of coffee. Her living room was blindingly white, full of furniture you'd be scared to sit on. She had her little cabal, 3 retirees nodding along, her husband Derek lurking in the corner. Then she launched into a PowerPoint, yes, a PowerPoint, about my boat. 20 slides, photos from every unflattering angle, making my boat look like the Titanic parked in a puddle. I listened, made notes, didn't interrupt. My old sergeant used to say, "Sterling, if someone's digging their own grave, don't take the shovel away." When she finished, I started asking questions. Where exactly are these size restrictions? Her answer, "It's implied. That's lawyer speak for I made it up." Then I pointed out that Derek had 2 jet skis and a cigarette boat, the same size as mine. Silence. What Karen didn't know is that I'd spent the morning at City Hall. Turns out Derek's dock extension, no permit on file. Municipal code violation, actually. The look on her face priceless. Right then, the cavalry arrived. Betty, the 73-year-old English teacher from down the road, wielding a plate of cookies and a lifetime of not taking crap from anyone. She leaned in, just loud enough for Karen to hear, and whispered about all the legal papers and old surveys in Theodore's basement. Karen's eyes went wide. That's the moment I realized. Bullies crumble when you know the rules better than they do. Things escalated fast after that. The city inspector came out, courtesy of an anonymous tip. I watched from my porch as Rodriguez checked every bolt on my dock. He finally looked up and said, "It's perfect. Whoever built this knew what they were doing." Karen, meanwhile, was parked up the road, spying from behind tinted windows. That same afternoon, I found a petition taped to my door, 7 signatures demanding immediate action. The way she described me, as a transient with unstable elements, let's just say, it didn't read like a friendly neighborhood note. Then came a gossip campaign. Betty called to warn me. Karen was telling anyone who'd listen that I was a PTSD case, a danger to the community. My phone rang off the hook. People checked on me, worried, or just plain curious. That night, I decided to fight fire with fire. I started digging. Public records, invoices, complaints. Nothing you can't find with a little patience. Turn out, Derek had been funneling HOA maintenance money to his brother's landscaping company. 18 grand over 2 years for work that never got done. Karen's real estate license? 2 official complaints. One for misrepresenting property conditions, another for aggressive tactics. No suspensions, but the picture was getting clearer. Phil from 2 doors down, contractor, salt of the earth, showed up with beers. He told me Karen had tried to pay him off to find safety issues with my dock. When that didn't work, she started sniffing around about Theodore's legal affairs. That's when I remembered Betty's tip. Theodore had been secretive for a reason. With my daughter Emma's help, senior year at Colorado State and more tech-savvy than I'll ever be, we combed through boxes of Theodore's old papers. Deeds, contracts, tax records, all of it. That's when we found it. A manila folder marked Lake Acquisition 1962 to 1978. Turns out, Uncle Theodore hadn't just bought a cabin on the lake. He'd bought the lake itself. Piece by piece, over 15 years, he'd acquired the water rights, the lake bed, the navigation privileges, everything. Every other house owned up to the high water mark, but the water belonged to him. To me. Suddenly, Karen's threats looked ridiculous. She was trying to regulate a lake that wasn't hers. I called in a property lawyer, Jennifer, sharp as a tack, recommended by Betty. When I showed her the deeds, she actually laughed. "Marcus, you could close the whole thing off if you wanted. Every dock, every boat, every fishing pole, it's all there by your permission." But I wasn't interested in revenge, not really. I learned something in all those years of supply chains and paperwork. Power is about when and how you use information, not just what you know. I waited. Let Karen keep escalating. More letters, more meetings, more threats. The last straw? She tried to drag my daughter into it, messaging Emma on Facebook about my adjustment issues. That's when it became war. She finally filed a lawsuit, real legal action, demanding my boat's removal, 5 grand in damages, and an agreement to never dock anything larger than a canoe. Her lawyer, a downtown hotshot, wrote up page after page about navigation hazards and visual blight, as if my Chris Craft was some kind of floating landfill. That same week, someone dumped sugar in my fuel tank. Phil's security camera caught a blurry shape near my dock at 2 a.m. Looked a lot like Derek's nervous shuffle. The sheriff's deputy shrugged, took notes, and left. But you know what? It was just more ammo for my side. Vandalism, harassment, and, thanks to Karen's TV interview about community waters, plenty of evidence she believed the lake was public property. Oops. The big showdown came at an emergency HOA meeting. Karen went all out. Hired a stenographer, invited the city councilman and a local news team, set up her own little kangaroo court. She accused me of conduct unbecoming a community resident, which, if you've ever been in the military, is actually kind of funny. She wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. She didn't know I'd brought my own cavalry. Jennifer, my lawyer, Sarah, the retired JAG officer, and David, the environmental expert, plus a room packed with neighbors tired of Karen's drama. Karen started her performance, complete with dramatic gestures and oversized photos of my boat, looking like she was about to declare World War III. Her lawyer did his thing, too. And then, finally, it was my turn. I stood, thanked the officials, and dropped the bombshell. This isn't community water. I own the lake. I handed over the deeds, the maps, every scrap of legal proof Theodore had saved. Jennifer explained, 40 years of paperwork, every parcel traced, every water right recorded. The room went silent. Karen's face drained of color so fast you'd think she'd seen a ghost. Commissioner asked, "So what does this mean for the community?" I said, "I could close it off right now. Ban every dock, every boat. But I won't, because I actually believe in being a good neighbor." Karen was finished. Everyone saw it. Within 24 hours, she'd resigned by email and slapped a for sale sign in her yard. Betty, the retired English teacher, became the new HOA president. Her first act? Apologizing for the mess, promising things would change. She kept her word. That spring, we started the Theodore Sterling Memorial Conservation Fund. Emma ran the scholarship program for environmental law students. Phil organized monthly cleanups that turned into block parties. The lake became a model site for environmental stewardship, protected forever, but open to anyone who treated it with respect. Veterans from 5 states came for the annual fishing tournament, raising money for vets and sharing stories on my dock. You know what the best part is? Karen tried her luck at her next community. They'd heard the story, voted her down unanimously. Karma's got a long memory. If you ask me what I learned, it's this: bullies only win when you play by the rules they make up. Do your homework. Know your rights. Don't let anyone convince you they own what's rightfully yours. Sometimes, justice isn't about punishment. It's about building something beautiful and letting those who tried to tear it down fade into irrelevance. Now, every evening, I sit on my dock with a cup of coffee that tastes like victory. Kids fish, neighbors laugh, loons call across water that'll never be touched by another petty tyrant. My uncle's quiet wisdom saved us all, even when nobody realized we needed saving. So let me ask you, if someone tried to steal what was yours right in front of you, would you fight back? Where do you draw the line between being a good neighbor and standing up for yourself? Have you ever tangled with a bully hiding behind a title or a badge? I want to hear your stories. Drop your HOA nightmares below. Tell me where you're listening from. Maybe your story will help someone else find the courage to say, "No, not today." Because sometimes all it takes to change everything is for one quiet person to stand up and remind the world who actually owns the lake.